This is Rich Vernadeau here, and I am discussing the teachings, beliefs, and ideas of Thomas Morgan Wilsford of Paris, Texas, who was a brilliant intellect, and I had the great fortune of knowing him for a number of years. Tom felt that newspapers were a waste because so many trees had to be cut down, whereas a book was more economical. Tom felt that the rock movement, the punks, were a phenomenon and were used politically by various forces. Tom felt that automobiles disrupted the magnetic fields on the earth. Tom did not support colonization by humans into space, as advocated by Timothy Leary and William S. Burroughs. Tom felt that ceilings fell down on warlocks. Tom felt that the cut-up method of writing was a form of sorcery. The cut-up method is a style that was used by William Burroughs. Tom sometimes used soap to wash his hair. Tom read a lot of biographies and nonfiction. Tom talked about having damaged his lungs walking a mile to his mailbox one time when he lived in Colorado. He walked to the mailbox in sub-zero temperatures and his lungs had gotten frostbite. Tom said that fluorescent lighting had caused an outbreak of cancer among school children who were under it day in, day out. Tom worked for many years as a waiter and dishwasher and had bought some old houses in Austin for rental property. Tom felt that repression of all kinds would increase as smaller police departments got grants and funds for new technology. Tom said that the AIDS virus was developed by the CIA. Tom once remarked that a group of women demonstrators were wearing cheap polyester dresses. Tom's parents had a mixed drink every night at about the same time, scotch on the rocks or whatever, around 6 or 7 p.m. at night. Tom said that about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning they would wake up in a whiny sort of thing. Tom felt that MSG, monosodium glutamate, was bad for the body, and he alluded to the case of a woman mayor in a northern city who used to go to the same Chinese restaurant every Sunday for lunch, and then she would have headaches, fainting spells, and hallucinations from the massive amount of MSG in the food. Other people who ate at the same place had the same symptoms and reactions from the MSG. This came to be called Chinese restaurant syndrome. Tom had once been fired from a restaurant for refusing to dump large amounts of flavor enhancer on the food served. Tom felt that a female writer friend of his, Mary Umberson, had gotten burned out in New York City. Tom read a book entitled Alternative 3, and from it had formed the opinion that thousands of people were being kidnapped by aliens, given electric shock therapy, and made to push buttons and run controls on spaceships. He felt that this was the reason that thousands of people came up missing, and he cited the mothers in Argentina who were marching with signs in protest over their sons who had disappeared. Tom told Allen Ginsberg at the Naropa Institute about his idea, and Ginsberg did not take the notion seriously and declined an offer to read the book Alternative 3. Tom objected to the fact that Chogyam Trungpa rode in big luxury cars and felt that it was a form of materialism. Tom disliked snobbery and felt that listening to classical music and operas was a form of intellectual snobbery. Tom left his phone unplugged most of the time. This was a landline. This was in the early 80s in Paris, Texas, especially in the mornings. He often didn't plug it in until 1 in the afternoon. Tom did not keep or collect books, he simply read them. Tom read Stephen King's Cujo and discussed it with a woman who had read it. In the early 80s in Paris, Texas, Tom drove a Bronco truck, Said he always kept a new vehicle because he wanted a vehicle that was always ready to go and didn't have need of frequent repairs. Tom did gardening by hand and had done agriculture in Hawaii. Tom said that wasps were a mutation and were attracted to places where electricity was being released from the earth. Tom said that mangoes were about 70% water and a person would never have to drink water if they ate mangoes daily. Tom believed that there should be a community of about 2,000 people every 2 or 3 miles. There would be no roads. You would simply walk from one community to the other, and each community would raise its own food and be self-sufficient. Tom was upset by the incident in the Gospels in which Christ cursed a barren fig tree so that it withered. Tom espoused the Wilhelm Reich theory of character armor, where rigidity in thinking is reflected in tense, tight musculature or muscle structure or body armor. Tom once studied with the Jehovah's Witnesses but became disenchanted with them when they spoke out against recreational sex. Tom endorsed recreational sex. Tom read a biography of Zelda Fitzgerald and was upset by the way F. Scott Fitzgerald had treated her. Tom had visited and talked with William S. Burroughs at his home in Boulder, Colorado. Tom moved to Taos, New Mexico after leaving the area of East Texas in April 1984. Tom believed that alcohol was very bad for the body, but thought that some people drank it for the nutrition in it. He thought that one boy drank a beer early in the morning because he was hungry and that the beer was his breakfast. Tom once made a health food pizza that was composed of real tomatoes, onions, mushrooms, etc. Tom did not believe in physical violence. Tom tasted some artificial frozen orange juice at his parents' house and said that it tasted like what the manufacturer thought orange juice ought to taste like. Tom's father had been prominent with Safeway. Tom had witnessed a group of children mercilessly harass a small androgynous Mexican child on the sidewalks of Austin. Tom referred to an incident which took place at a 2-story communal arrangement house, which apparently was a halfway house for former mental patients. In this incident in Austin, a black man had gone crazy and shot several people in the house and was himself killed by Austin police on the front lawn of the old house. Tom said that the incident was somehow used by the Austin media and police. Tom said that the CIA had gone to subways in New York and San Francisco in the early 50s and used spray cans to spray flu viruses into large crowds so they could study how diseases spread. Tom said that the NSA, National Security Administration, was housed in a building about the size of the Pentagon, and that all phone calls from the United States overseas that went through the transatlantic cable system were monitored by NSA computers, and that certain trip words or key phrases would alert the computer to automatically tape record the conversation. Tom felt that American bankers and financiers owned the Soviet Union and controlled its puppet government. Tom read and was familiar with Jack Kerouac and Brian Gysin. Tom listened to Patti Smith. Tom had a friend in San Francisco who sent him a cassette tape of William Burroughs reading some of his own work. Tom also received copies of the Threepenny Review. Tom believed that monogamy was something that had been introduced by the Catholic Church and the powers that be during the Middle Ages in order to regulate and control people. Tom believed in multi-relationships. Tom was terrified of some kind of scandal affecting his family, his mother and father. Tom believed in a largely vegetarian diet with little meat. Tom's mother had paid $800 worth of electricity at the utility company because she insisted on him having electricity at his trailer, even though he claimed he did not want it. Tom's trailer was on a tract of land that belonged to his father. Tom did not believe in people owning guns and was highly disturbed when a young man gave his younger brother a gun as a Christmas gift. Tom allowed friends to freely use his trailer when